9 years after Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, Danny McBride and David Gordon Green come together to give audiences another reboot within the franchise, this time a direct sequel to the original film. It's been 40 years since Laurie Strode survived a vicious attack from a crazed killer, Michael Myers, on Halloween night. Locked up in an institution, Myers manages to escape when his bus transfer goes horribly wrong. Laurie now faces a terrifying showdown when the masked madman returns to Haddonfield, but this time, she's ready for him. And starting with the directing for this film, David Gordon Green takes charge at directing this trilogy in the Halloween franchise, starting with Halloween 2018, and easily delivering one of the most eerie, engaging, and entertaining films in the Halloween franchise. My biggest criticism with this film has to be the comparisons with Halloween H2O, but honestly, I identify myself more with this story and connect more with this version of Laurie, so I do have to say I prefer this film over H2O. The film is quick, it's precise, and it gives audiences one of the most terrifying versions of Michael Myers to date. Moving right along to the cast and the characters, once again we have Jamie Lee Curtis back as Laurie Strode, and she is phenomenal. She is the only Laurie Strode, the only person to play Laurie. She's fantastic. Andi Matichak is great as Allison in this film, but that's honestly all I can say about the characters within this film. Most of the other side characters, including the New Loomis, the police officers, Ray, the husband, and the podcasters, they all have too many moments where they're supposed to feel comedic, and when you have a world where almost every character has a comedic moment, it just doesn't end up feeling totally believable. Bits of comedy here and there are definitely needed and very much appreciated. I do think the kid being babysat is one of the more entertaining and enjoyable moments in the film, but again, I think that could have been one of our only comedic moments in the film, and it really would have stuck had they removed most of the other comedic moments earlier on in the film. And moving along to the story, this story is easily one of the more simple stories in the franchise, but I do find it more entertaining and easier to follow. And by easier to follow, I mean not because it's just a simple story, I mean just it's easier as a fan to grasp on to this narrative and this timeline. I also find that Halloween 2018 is one of the only films in the franchise that keeps a consistent pace that is very well worth watching. Like, I just feel like most of the other films in the franchise really have some moments where there's some lulls and it's like, okay, let's pick it up. But Halloween 2018 keeps a very consistent pace for the most part. The story was kept simple, and for the most part it worked because people really only wanted to see Michael Myers and Laurie Strode come together for a final confrontation. Yes, we got that, and it was very satisfying, but with that ending, you obviously know that it was going to lead somewhere else, and we saw that in Halloween Kills, and now we hopefully will get a real conclusion with Halloween Ends. But that being said, this film on its own as just a direct sequel to Halloween, I think is fantastic. And moving on to the visuals, visually this is the crispest looking film in the franchise. This movie looks as good as a bite out of a fresh apple sounds. Everything from the camera movement to the color to the framing really makes this film one of the most engaging experiences in the franchise, and I absolutely appreciate it for that every single time I watch it. He's back, baby! Talking about the score, John Carpenter is back. Wow. This is easily one of the top 3 scores in the franchise, simply due to having John Carpenter back, really honing in on the tone and the sounds that made that original so fantastic. Moving along to the final thoughts, overall Halloween 2018 is an engaging reintroduction into the franchise. This doesn't take the biggest of leaps story-wise, but it does what fans want by bringing Laurie and Michael together to fight once again. I do actually own this film, and I would recommend picking this film up if you are not a fan of the brother-sister timeline within the franchise. If you're not a fan of that timeline, most likely I think you will appreciate this timeline. This is a timeline within the Halloween franchise that I will happily follow whether or not I end up liking the execution in Halloween Ends. But this solo outing is a worthy sequel to John Carpenter's Halloween, and I absolutely cannot wait to see how this all concludes in Halloween Ends. And lastly, I will be covering Halloween Kills before the release of Halloween Ends, and after that, I will now be starting my review of every single James Cameron film leading up to the release of Avatar: The Way of Water, and starting with Piranha 2: The Spawning. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you like this video, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.